All right, now I'm on. There we go. Good morning. How's everybody doing? All right. Well, I tried to convince Rick Steves to come visit us this week, but he's on assignment. So unfortunately, we're not going to have him. But this is our second week talking about Easter traditions using a video by Rick Steves on Easter one. As we did last week, we're going to watch video segments, and I have some discussion questions for you. So I am just going to say, when it comes time, Mary, if you'll join the group in the back, you three can be a group to yourselves. You can be a group there. And I'm going to say the two of you turn around to the two of you and 2 to the 5, 2 to the 3. So let me start in prayer. Good and gracious God, we give you thanks for this day, for this time, for this beautiful morning. Lord, as we continue to explore Easter and Holy Week in its meetings, I pray that you will continue to open our hearts and our ears to hear what you would have here today. Amen. And what I meant to say last week, for those of you that are online watching or going back into video, when it comes time for the questions, find somebody where you are and discuss those questions. If we have kind of big group discussion, Pam's got, there she is, the microphone for us. So let's go ahead and start our first video. This is Holy Week building up to Easter Sunday.
Easter is a time of family and feasting. In every culture, special foods weave together religious and folk traditions. It's a time of music, blessings, and community as Holy Week builds to Easter Sunday.
Deep in Italy's Marche region, the mountains seem to cradle more time-honored Easter rituals. A folk band of troubadours goes farm to farm to help bless the coming harvest. They rouse the family with their music. And then, as is the tradition, they're invited to enjoy a rustic meal, farm-made cheese, salami, and wine. The holiday spirit
Easter is a time of family and feasting. In every culture, special foods weave together religious and folk traditions. It's a time of music, blessings, and community as Holy Week builds to Easter Sunday.
Deep in Italy's Marche region, the mountains seem to cradle more time-honored Easter rituals. A folk band of troubadours goes farm to farm to help bless the coming harvest. They rouse the family with their music. And then, as is the tradition, they're invited to enjoy a rustic meal, farm-made cheese, salami, and wine.
Again, people are coming to the house and asking for liquor.
The holiday spirit in Italy can be found in larger cities too, like Siena. Like anywhere, in Italy, Easter is a time when generations come together. Preschoolers bring some Easter joy to this retirement home with skits and songs. The touching scene takes these seniors back to their distant childhood, and they respond with gifts. Back in the Tuscan countryside, locals bring baskets of eggs to their tiny church to be blessed by their priest. These will be enjoyed by young and old alike on Easter Sunday. In Slovenia, Lake Bled is nestled at the foot of the Julian Alps. This spectacular and romantic location is famous as a summer resort, although in the springtime, it can be chilly. But the weather doesn't stop townsfolk from making the short trip on a Pletna boat to the lake's island. Next to the island's church is a bakery famous for Slovenia's Easter bread called potica. This holiday treat, much loved by Slovenes, represents Jesus' crown of thorns and is eaten for Easter brunch. Potica is a log of sweet bread filled with a paste of walnuts and honey, chopped almonds, and fruit. It's placed in a ceramic bundt pan. And after baking, it's flipped to reveal the finished potica. This busy baker will make a couple dozen of these today in anticipation of the coming feast. Back in Slovenia's Bela Krajina, a self-sufficient old farmer wears the region's traditional white linen, which he wove himself. He packs up his Easter feast for a blessing. Smoked pork representing Christ's body, horseradish root for the nails on the cross, potica for the crown of thorns, and hard-boiled eggs dyed red for the blood Christ shed. It's all packed into a basket and covered with the embroidered cloth. For centuries, it's been a tradition for Slovenes to gather during Holy Week to have these baskets of symbolic Easter foods blessed by their priest. Some go by boat to the island church. Some gather at humble roadside chapels. And others bring their baskets to timeless village churches.
Easter is a time of family and feasting. In every culture, special food.
So it seems from the video that Easter really seems to be an intergenerational event. Do you see that with your family, or have you done that in the past? Go ahead and turn to your neighbors, and we'll get set. Barbara, just turn to join one of the groups. Your next question is just when you get ready to move. Food seems to be a central role in Holy Week. So, what are your favorite foods to eat during Holy Week and Easter? last question. What would it be like if you, after weaving your own clothing, had to bring a sampling or brought a sampling of your Easter meal to be blessed?
That cheese looked, oh,
All right, thank you. We're going to go ahead and move on. Our next section, he didn't do a good job really separating Maundy, Thursday, and Good Friday. So I've tried to, he talks about Maundy, Thursday, and Good Friday kind of together. Then he'll switch to Good Friday eventually, but here we are for now.
On Thursday of Holy Week, the events of the Passion accelerate. Jesus, whose ministry lasted just 3 years, knows his destiny: betrayal, followed by execution. Back in Italy's remote Marche region, in the stony village of Cantiano, Jesus' destiny is brought to life for all to see. In the evening, the entire town participates in a dramatic reenactment of the Easter story, retelling it as they have for centuries. Townspeople consider it an honor to play a part in this epic biblical story. On this night, Jesus gathers his 12 apostles for their Last Supper.
Lo Spirito Santo.
Villagers and visitors alike are transfixed as he tells his disciples, "One of you will betray me." And they respond, "Lord, is it I?" With Good Friday only hours away, Cantiano's church is dressed in mourning. Crosses and artwork are covered, draped in purple, representing the Passion. Holy Thursday is one of the most sacred masses in the Catholic calendar, full of ancient ritual and mysticism. This day is also known as Maundy Thursday. Maundy means mandate and refers to Jesus' new commandment. On this day, according to the Bible, he told his apostles, "Love one another as I have loved you." Jesus demonstrated this commandment at the Last Supper when he washed the feet of his disciples. When a priest washes the feet of his parishioners, he's reminding them of this mandate. Doing this humble job, customarily given to the lowliest servant, illustrates the depth of Jesus' love and the love he called others to show each other.
Prendete. Mangiate.
This gesture is followed by the Eucharist. Also called Holy Communion, it symbolically reenacts that Last Supper and is a reminder of the great sacrifice of the crucifixion. The bread and the wine are taken together by Christians to remember the body and blood Christ gave so they could be forgiven and saved in the eyes of God. For Christians, this is the essence of the Easter story. Back in Spain, in Sevilla, Various religious fraternities parade on different days during Holy Week, so preparations continue all week long. This fraternity is putting finishing touches on its float before it hits the street. Men, women, and even young children are all members of neighborhood fraternities. For centuries, these groups were mission-based, and today all are still involved in social causes, such as helping the poor. Excitement fills the air, and so does laughter as flowers are prepped and arranged. Candles are set out for the penitents, and petals are plucked for showering upon Mary when she takes her turn parading through the city. This is tender work, and great care is taken to make sure that the floats are perfect in every way. Floats with Mary are often the most anticipated during Semana Santa, as she is beloved for the suffering she endures and her empathy with the people. This Mary is known as Estrella, and inside her namesake star, she carries a relic of the cross. She'll have her moment later this evening. Out on the crowded streets, floats slowly make their way to the cathedral. Centuries of flamenco singers have serenaded Mary and Jesus with love songs as they process through the city. Traditionally spontaneous, these passionate songs occur when a singer is so overcome with emotion, he must break into song. As dusk settles on Sevilla, a long line of silent, black-clad penitents escort one of the city's most moving floats toward the cathedral. The float portrays the dead Jesus taken down from the cross and mourned by the people who loved him most. Among the most dramatic of the week's processions, the float is decorated simply with purple iris and a single red rose, symbolizing the blood Jesus shed. As night closes in, penitents' candles sway like fireflies dancing in the dark. The entire Holy Week in Spain is a glorious spectacle. After a full day, it's hard to imagine more. And then, the Mary known as Estrella appears, ethereal and radiant. A shower of petals rains down upon her as if heaven itself is thanking her for her immense and loving sacrifice. On Good Friday, the day Jesus was crucified, in churches and communities throughout Europe, the rituals of Easter intensify with more processions, plays, and holy masses. Back in Italy, in Cantiano, the pre-dawn streets stir with groups of young men. Their purpose? To awaken the town. According to tradition, no church bells ring on this sad day. That's why it's these crude noisemakers that announce the Good Friday message. Jesus is dead, and it's time to gather at church. In the dark and gloomy main church, the community, many people just moments out of bed, gathers dressed for the mountain chill. The mood is somber as the priest leads prayers. The ritual procession of the 7 churches begins. The priest leads his congregation to the next church for more prayers. From there, with the priest continually praying and reciting psalms, the procession continues.
Eterno Padre, ti offriamo il preziosissimo sangue versato dal nostro Salvatore.
Eventually, the entire gathering reaches the cemetery, where hundreds of candles illuminate both graves and burial niches. The living remember their departed loved ones in this time of communal mourning.
Just for those of you who weren't here last week, the hooded procession, Rick Steesen, the first part of the video, talks about what negative imagery that brings up in the United States. In Europe and Spain, it was done to show that everybody's equal and that everybody sins. So, very different connotations. First question for you. What does Maundy Thursday mean to you, and how do you celebrate or commemorate Maundy Thursday? Yeah. You are, oh, you are so good. Did you? Second question. Have you ever participated in a foot washing service? If so, what was it like? everything.
And to have Mary venerated so, for
Back and forth. What do you make of the connection at the very end of the video? That connection between Good Friday and the procession to the cemetery that was all lit up with candles. And what would it be like if we did something here? Sir,
it was just bizarre.
that is bizarre. All right. You all look like you're having really good discussion, but we've got to keep moving. So here is Good Friday Part 2.
In many Christian traditions, during Good Friday, the bells are still and the services are stark, without music. People leave in silence. It's a time of mourning. In monasteries like Monte Oliveto Maggiore, monks chant to sanctify the day. The music and rituals of Good Friday are less joyous as the focus is on Jesus' suffering and death. Nearby, in the hill town of Gubbio, hooded penitents like those in Sevilla take the sadness of the day into the streets. As they leave the church and process through town, they sing the Miserere, a lament expressing the pain of the crucifixion. The holy statues are carried high, as if floating above legions of mourners. Penitents carry plaques showing icons and tools of the Passion. And common citizens, both adults and children, are part of the procession, showing that this ritual, centuries old, continues to be passed on from generation to generation. Processions like these, with their heartfelt songs, seem to flood every corner with great emotion. And throughout Europe, passion plays stir the same emotions. In Slovenia, the medieval town of Škofja Loka is famed for its Easter play. This version was written by a local monk in 1721 and has been performed ever since. With a cast of 1,000 locals and 70 horses, the play is staged in various squares all across the town, with the action coming from all sides and captivating the audience. It's a departure from the standard version of The Passion, a morality play that feels both medieval and modern. One message suggests that we're all equal, whether king or cobbler. Then, when a tormented soul is ravaged by devils, we ask ourselves, how will I choose to live my own life? But the most dramatic moments come when things return to the traditional narrative and all eyes are on a suffering and dying Jesus. Passion plays make the torturing of Jesus visceral. As told so vividly in the Bible, Jesus suffered greatly even before being nailed to the cross. Stripped, humiliated, and whipped. Here he hangs bloody and nearly naked in the bitter cold. Back in Italy, at Cantiano's Passion Play, the main square becomes a stage. Under a full moon in the crisp air, the entire village packs the square to witness this timeless reenactment. Villagers take their roles seriously and perform the Passion with passion. For the faithful here, it's an honor to participate, a sign of devotion and respect. Some of these people play the same role for decades. The entire town becomes a set as Jesus is led to his crucifixion. For the finale of Cantiano's Passion Play, the entire cast trudges to the top of the hill. With Jesus in the lead, carrying the cross, it's an unforgettable and powerful experience. Then, far below, the village gathers for the dramatic last scene, the resurrection of Christ, represented by a shroud blowing from a radiant, empty cross.
In many Christian traditions, during Good
Let me ask the second question first. So, the quiz. What do we do to commemorate Good Friday? What preparations do we make here at TCPC? Anybody know what we do? Take down all the purple, the pyramids. What else? Don't have a meal. We do have a service, but one more thing that we do, at least in the sanctuary in the chapel. We take flowers out, but we also drape the cross. Literally cover the cross in black symbolism. So, good job. Y'all get A's. So, what does Good Friday mean to you, and how do you commemorate Good Friday?
Union table, black on this, black on the pulpit, black, and then it would be very different on Easter.
Yeah. Have you ever witnessed a passion play? If so, what was it like? last question for you. What do you think about this as I watched the videos a couple times, what did you think about this very public display of faith and devotion on Good Friday? Why or why not would it work here?
I think it's great. We're in and out.
In and
I
out.
think
So we're going to keep moving. He has a clip of specifically Orthodox Good Friday, Holy Saturday, and Easter. We're just going to watch that and then we'll move into the last video clip.
In Greece, in the city of Nafplio, the warmth of spring is in the air and crowds of people are out enjoying the weather and preparing for the big Easter holiday. Here, Easter is celebrated with a distinct style. For Greek Orthodox Christians, it's the most celebrated holiday of the year. Because Eastern Orthodox Christians use a different calendar than Western Christians, Orthodox Easter usually falls on a different Sunday. The Greek Orthodox ritual may feel exotic and mystical to many Western eyes and ears, but the storyline is the same, with a few mesmerizing twists. While worshiping, Orthodox Christians believe standing empowers prayers, and incense helps involve all the senses. The priest typically has a long beard, a sign of wisdom, experience, and respect. He periodically retreats behind an icon-covered wall called an iconostasis. Then, to involve all gathered, he circulates among the faithful. In the Greek Orthodox tradition, the events of Good Friday start the night before. For hours, people gather, eventually packing the church. As candles flicker, all generations chant and pray together, awaiting each step of the Easter story as it unfolds. The cantors blend music and prayer to heighten the atmosphere of reverence. Eventually, the priest brings the crucified Christ out from behind the iconostasis. After being carried around the church, Jesus is lovingly decked in flowers. The passionate congregation then crowds around to kiss the feet of Jesus. The ritual of mourning continues through the night. Around midnight, as Good Friday arrives, women decorate what's called the epitaph, or symbolic tomb of Jesus, while the choir chants. Well into the wee hours, it's a family affair filled with tenderness, as flowers create a fragile and beautiful monument to their loss and love. After dawn, a Good Friday service is held. Christ is removed from the cross. His body is then carried behind the iconostasis. Eventually, the priest reemerges, carrying a shroud representing the crucified Christ. He reverently leads it through the congregation of mourners. Eventually, the shroud is laid out flat in the ceremonial coffin and blessed with flower petals. As in any funeral, loved ones pay their last respects, here either with a kiss or, if you're small enough, a trip beneath the epitaph. Once again, the Orthodox mysticism, enhanced by music, incense, and intensely felt prayer, heightens the emotional impact. On Good Friday evening, the funeral procession starts as the epitaph is carried out of the church. Even as a visitor, I felt as one with those gathered, sharing a familiar holiday, but in a new way. Churches from 3 neighborhoods all perform the same ritual funeral procession as they carry their individual epitaphs through town. The 3 parades converge on the main square, and the epitaphs gather on a stage, with the bishop overlooking what seems like the entire population of Nafplio. The bishop, flanked by the town's priests, gives an Easter message, reminding his flock why Jesus died and why there's reason for hope. Holy Saturday is the day Christ's body laid in the tomb while his followers mourned. In Western Christian traditions, it's a time of thoughtfulness and waiting, of vigils. But in the Orthodox Christian world, like here in Greece, Holy Saturday is a celebration of what Jesus' soul accomplished on that day. On Saturday morning, the Greeks pack their church yet again to remember how, while his disciples were mourning on earth, Jesus descended into Hades, bringing salvation to the souls of the dead. That's why Greeks call this Saturday the first resurrection. Worshippers venerate an icon of Jesus pulling Adam and Eve out of the fires of hell. This is the pivotal moment when Christ has defeated the devil and death. The priest has changed out of his mournful black vestments and into hopeful white ones. Much happier and more animated now, he tosses dried flower petals representing the broken chains of hell over all gathered. Late Saturday night, the people spill from their churches and fill the main square yet again, this time with a palpable sense of expectation.
It's almost midnight, and Easter Sunday is just a couple minutes away. Here in Greece, people can hardly wait to celebrate the resurrection. On this day, Christians everywhere fill the churches and the squares, and they declare with great joy, Christ is risen. He is risen indeed.
When midnight strikes, fireworks light up the sky, and finally, Easter Sunday is here. The Holy Flame, which literally travels from Jerusalem to Athens and then to towns throughout Greece is shared along with the ritual Easter kiss of love. And it's not over yet. Everyone then heads home for the biggest party of the season. People carry the Easter flame home as a burning candle. Raising it above their heads, they make a cross above the doorway, symbolizing that the light of the resurrection has blessed their home for another year. A long table awaits as the extended family gathers. They have a competition to find out whose Easter egg will be the strongest. Sighs of disappointment from losers are mixed with the laughter of winners until the proud victor, who will enjoy a particularly blessed upcoming year, is declared. Traditional holiday dishes, like a thick lamb entrail soup, are devoured. It's a joyous family gathering. The feast continues into the wee hours of Easter Sunday with lots of meat and eggs and no shortage of Easter bread. It's a new day filled with promise both spiritually and metaphorically. Flowers trumpet the full bloom of spring, and the earth reawakens from its winter slumber. Back in Spain, the sun rises above a serene Sevilla. It's peaceful after so many parades and ritual-filled days of Semana Santa. Now, families simply enjoy time together. In contrast, back in Italy, in Florence, the pageantry is yet to peak. Easter Sunday starts with a grand parade. A lumbering, decorated wagon is dragged by white oxen through town as it has been since medieval times. The procession ends at the steps of the cathedral, where a crowd is gathered filled with anticipation. At the end of the Mass, a mechanical dove representing the Holy Spirit rockets from the high altar directly into the cart, igniting fireworks. It's a spectacular way to announce the resurrection. And back at the Vatican, St. Peter's Square is once again filled as this 2,000-year-old tradition is celebrated with another huge Mass, bringing together an international crowd and a global audience. In addition to St. Peter's, worshipers fill venerable churches throughout Rome, which are busy with Easter Masses all day long. As is the case everywhere in Christendom, communities come together with splendid yet dignified fanfare, all to celebrate the resurrection and the promise of salvation. And then, as if famished by all the processing and church-going, across the lands, families settle down to ritual feasts. It seems the gift of Easter and the promise of spring brings out a deep-seated urge to gather loved ones together and embrace life in its fullest. Throughout Italy, Easter Sunday is a special time for family and friends to celebrate the good news. Sacred traditions, rich with symbolism, survive most vividly in tiny villages. Grandmothers make holiday rolls called ciambelli. With a gentle touch, the dough is kneaded and then shaped into rings. The ring shape represents the crown of thorns. Meanwhile, grandfather tends the oven with wood from his olive trees. When the coals are just right, the ciambelli arrive, as if on cue. And drawing from the practice of a lifetime of Easters, they're cooked to perfection. In his cellar, he cuts a cured pork salami, hung there to dry especially for this Easter breakfast. As all generations gather, the feast begins. Grandfather slices his prized salami. He blesses the occasion with a toast. Eggs and a variety of holiday breads are shared. The ciambelli are served with a small glass of vin santo, again recalling the body and blood of Jesus. On Easter Sunday, it seems everyone has a place to be, and I'm fortunate to join friends in this Tuscan farmhouse. To be so far from my own home and loved ones, yet feel so welcome with this family, is a memory I'll treasure for the rest of my Easters. And after the meal, the kids, so obedient at the table, are now free to storm their chocolate eggs for the gift traditionally hidden inside. Joining the parents and grandparents looking on, we all recall similar Easter moments from our childhoods. And in Rome, older celebrants embrace the holiday egg theme as well. Enjoying a personal moment as an extravagant Easter banquet awaits, Antonella gives Manuela her big chocolate egg. She discovers her gift, a celebration of their love and commitment to each other. In Slovenia, family and friends have also gathered. The Easter table is laden with food thoroughly blessed the day before. There's a timeless joy in this intimate scene as parents laugh together, children do the serious work of cracking eggs, and a grandmother cradles her baby granddaughter trying to make sense of her first Easter. And after a long winter and Lent, it seems like there's more than enough ham and potica to last through spring. Children across cultures, probably yet to appreciate all this resurrection and rebirth symbolism, certainly know the excitement of an Easter egg hunt. Back in Greece, this community has organized one in the town park. It's a mad scramble to find as many eggs as possible, as quickly as possible. And as is so often the case, the tearful little one who missed out gets a little extra love. In villages all across Greece, families are grilling lamb, eating, singing, and dancing. It seems there's a spring lamb on a spit in every backyard. The roast takes hours, but no one's in a hurry. It's an all-day affair. People move between households, checking on each other's lambs and socializing. When the spit stops, the feast begins. Lamb off the bone, lamb off the fingers, beer, wine, music, more food, more fun, more lamb. People party all day long. Eventually, the village ends up back at the church, dancing and singing. Together, they celebrate as they have every year for all their lives, celebrating the hope of renewal at yet another joyous Easter Sunday.
Just a couple questions for you. How did you see people celebrating Easter in the video? And what is something new you saw that you would like to incorporate into your Easter traditions? Well, it is time for us to head over to the church. Thanks to Rick Steves, our guest lecturer. Next Sunday, March 30th, we will have back with us Daniel Heath, Associate Chaplain over at the college, and his presentation will be on the 5 senses of worship. So I think it's going to be very experiential. So come ready to experience. Thank you for being here.